and the fate of a nation hung in the balance in the summer of 1863. The small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, found itself at the center of a maelstrom. From July 1st to July 3rd, the largest battle ever fought on American soil raged on its fields and hills. The Battle of Gettysburg would become a turning point in the American Civil War, a clash of armies that would decide the future of a nation. The outcome at Gettysburg resonated far beyond the borders of Pennsylvania. It marked a turning point in the struggle to preserve the Union. The peaceful countryside of Adams County, Pennsylvania, was transformed into a landscape of chaos and carnage. Fields that once yielded crops now echoed with the roar of cannon fire. The quiet streets of Gettysburg were crowded with soldiers, both blue and gray. The fate of the Union, already hanging by a thread, seemed to rest on this unexpected battleground. The eyes of the nation turned towards Gettysburg, watching and waiting for news of victory or defeat. Why is Gettysburg considered the turning point of the Civil War? Up until this point, Confederate forces, under the skilled leadership of General Robert E. Lee, had enjoyed a string of victories. The Confederacy was emboldened, believing that it could win its independence on the battlefield. Gettysburg marked the end of that winning streak. The Confederate defeat at Gettysburg shattered the myth of Lee's invincibility. The Confederacy's offensive capabilities were severely crippled after Gettysburg. The South would never again be able to launch a major invasion of the North. The tide of war had shifted in favor of the Union. Although the war would drag on for almost 2 more years, the outcome seemed more certain after the Union victory at Gettysburg. The spirit of the Confederacy was broken, its resources dwindling. 2 remarkable military minds faced each other at Gettysburg: General George Meade for the Union and General Robert E. Lee for the Confederacy. Meade, a cautious and methodical commander, had only recently assumed command of the Army of the Potomac. He was tasked with defending the North against Lee's invasion. Lee, a brilliant strategist and tactician, was known for his bold maneuvers and his willingness to take risks. Lee's reputation preceded him, striking fear into the hearts of many Northerners. He believed that one decisive victory on Northern soil could force the Union to negotiate an end to the war. Meade, on the other hand, understood the gravity of the situation. He knew that he could not afford to lose. The clash of these 2 military titans would determine the fate of the nation. Their decisions, their strategies, and their leadership would shape the course of the battle and its aftermath. Confident after his victory at Chancellorsville, Lee decided to take the war to the north. He hoped to relieve pressure on Virginia and perhaps even force the Union to sue for peace. Lee's army of Northern Virginia crossed the Potomac River in June 1863, marching through Maryland and into Pennsylvania. The invasion sent shockwaves through the North. People feared for their safety, their homes, and their livelihoods. The Union Army, under Meade's command, shadowed Lee's movements, seeking an opportunity to engage the Confederates. The 2 armies collided almost by accident at Gettysburg. A Confederate brigade searching for supplies encountered Union cavalry on the outskirts of the town. What began as a skirmish quickly escalated into a full-blown battle. Section 5, Day 1, a chance encounter, a desperate struggle. The first day of the Battle of Gettysburg, July 1st, 1863, started as a series of skirmishes. Confederate forces pushed Union troops through the town of Gettysburg and back towards Cemetery Hill, a strategically important position south of town. The fighting was fierce and chaotic. Both sides rushed reinforcements to the area. Union General John Buford, recognizing the importance of holding the high ground, deployed his cavalry to delay the Confederate advance. Buford's stand bought valuable time for Union reinforcements to arrive. As the day wore on, the fighting intensified. Confederate troops under Generals A.P. Hill and Richard Ewell attacked with increasing ferocity. Union forces, outnumbered and outgunned, fought tenaciously to hold their ground. By nightfall, the Confederates had gained control of most of the town, but failed to dislodge the Union defenders from Cemetery Hill and Culp's Hill. Section 6, Day 2, Flanking and Fighting Little Round Top Holds. Day 2 at Gettysburg focused on the Union flanks. Lee, seeking to exploit weaknesses in the Union line, ordered attacks on both Little Round Top and Culp's Hill. The fighting on Little Round Top was particularly intense. Union Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and his 20th Maine Regiment found themselves defending the extreme left flank of the entire Union Army. Wave after wave of Confederate soldiers assaulted their position. Ammunition ran low. Finally, with bayonets fixed, Chamberlain ordered a desperate downhill charge that routed the attacking Confederates. Chamberlain's defense of Little Round Top became legendary. It saved the Union line from collapse. However, heavy fighting raged on other parts of the battlefield. Union troops held Culp's Hill against repeated Confederate assaults. Section 7, Day 3, Pickett's Charge, a high watermark of courage, a sea of loss. The climax of the Battle of Gettysburg came on the afternoon of July 3rd. Lee, convinced that a massive assault on the center of the Union line could break through, ordered an attack that would become known as Pickett's Charge. Across nearly a mile of open ground, approximately 12,500 Confederate soldiers marched towards the Union positions on Cemetery Ridge. Union artillery rained down fire upon the advancing Confederates. The ground shook with the concussion of exploding shells. Still, the Confederates marched forward, a testament to their courage and determination. A few Confederates reached the Union lines, engaging in desperate hand-to-hand combat. However, the charge was ultimately repulsed. The Confederate army suffered horrific casualties. Pickett's charge marked the high watermark of the Confederacy. Their hopes for victory at Gettysburg lay shattered among the bodies of their fallen comrades. Section 8, The Price of Victory, Casualties and the Aftermath. The Battle of Gettysburg was a Pyrrhic victory for both sides. The combined casualties were staggering. Over 50,000 men were killed, wounded, or missing. The fields around Gettysburg were transformed into vast hospitals. The air was thick with the stench of death. The human cost of the battle was almost unbearable. Gettysburg left an indelible mark on the landscape and the people of southern Pennsylvania. The town and surrounding countryside were scarred by battle. Houses and barns were riddled with bullet holes. Fences were destroyed. Crops were trampled. The people of Gettysburg, who had witnessed the horrors of war firsthand, were left to pick up the pieces. The task of burying the dead, caring for the wounded, and rebuilding their lives was daunting. Section 9. Dedication at Gettysburg. Lincoln's words for a nation divided. 4 months after the battle, President Abraham Lincoln traveled to Gettysburg to dedicate a national cemetery. His Gettysburg address, delivered on November 19, 1863, became one of the most famous speeches in American history. In just a few short minutes, Lincoln eloquently expressed the meaning of the war and the sacrifices made at Gettysburg. He spoke of a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. He urged his listeners to highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. And he called for a new birth of freedom in America. Lincoln's words resonated deeply with a nation torn apart by war. They provided solace to those who had lost loved ones, and they offered hope for a reunited nation, healed by the sacrifices made at Gettysburg. Section 10, Legacy of Gettysburg, a battle remembered, a nation transformed. The Battle of Gettysburg, a pivotal moment in American history, had a profound and lasting impact on the course of the Civil War and the future of the United States. The Union victory at Gettysburg, coupled with the surrender of Vicksburg the following day, turned the tide of the war in favor of the North. The Confederacy, weakened and demoralized, would never again be able to mount a serious offensive threat. The battle also had a profound impact on the way Americans viewed themselves and their nation. The immense sacrifices made at Gettysburg by both Union and Confederate soldiers served as a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy and the importance of preserving the Union. Gettysburg became hallowed ground, a place where Americans could come to remember, to reflect, and to honor the sacrifices of those who fought and died there. The battle and its legacy continue to resonate with Americans today.